Hey everyone, I hope you can hear me. If you can hear me, say hey.
Hey.
Lovely, lovely.
Never a dull moment over here.
I'm
Never.
telling you, I'm telling you. Oh my God, I have to contain myself with the excitement. Lord have mercy, help me. Guys, we are back again. You might not see all the same faces. What am I saying? I'm losing my mind. You'll see some of the same faces, but you may not see all that you saw last week. Doesn't matter. I'm supposed to be adding somebody else, but she's not totally connected yet. So that's Katira. I think she's trying to get connected. Anyhow, we'll sort her out in a bit and add her to the stream shortly. And as people come in, we're going to add them. Yeah. So we're here once again, and I'm thankful to be here. Guys, we have had a really good summit so far. Yeah. 3 weeks. This is the fourth. The final is next week, Wednesday, same time, same place. And before I forget, the final week, which is August 31st from 5 to 6 p.m., we're going to switch things up a little bit, have a little bit more fun. Hopefully, more people will be interacting with us. There'll be a little bit of a game that we'll be
Mm.
doing, weaving in to the discussion. Yes, I have everything set up. So make sure you're here for the fun and the games. Yes, and all the people who are, as if we're not having fun already. And all the people who didn't get to watch or interact with us live, you really, I'm telling you, don't miss the lives.
Yeah.
Don't miss. You miss the lives. I don't know what to compare it to, honestly, but you miss the lives, you just miss it. Watching the replay is not the same.
The same.
It's not the same. I'm telling you, the energy is crazy. Ask Leah. She was in her car last week.
I said I had to go, right? And
Right?
then I was like, let's just change over to the phone. It was so good last week.
Right? So today we're talking podcast monetization. And if you are watching us on LinkedIn, you would see in the description, I made a little last minute changes a while ago because I realized that I didn't edit some things. So forgive me. All right, I'm going to take things a little bit slow today. I need to calm down. I think the past few weeks have gotten to me. So I'm going to take things slow. I want you to see what's happening to Katira. I don't want to kick her out. Her device is not connected. So I'm thinking whether I should kick her out and force her back in. Yeah. Let me see if I do that. I'm going to kick her from the studio. Yeah. And force her to come back in. Yeah. So we're talking podcast monetization today. We kind of touched a little bit on money talk, when we spoke about free versus paid a couple of weeks ago, whether you should go free versus paid in a podcast. But I want us to delve a little bit more in terms of the monetization aspect. Why? Because just like with your blog or with webinars or any sort of digital form media, yeah, your marketing approaches, we want to be able to monetize it in some way or form. And that doesn't mean to say that you have to immediately benefit from the money right away. It could be that you have it as part of your funnel, that, for instance, you get people on a list and eventually you can monetize it. So it doesn't have to be short term gratification. It can be medium term, it can be long term. Just to get your mind in gear. Yeah. If you didn't have any ideas as to what you could do in terms of monetization, I'm sure it will come to you today. Because that's the beauty about having all of us here. It helps the minds to come together, and so it generates ideas. So if we didn't have any, I'm sure on the floor here we will come up with something. Or Miss Queen of Fiverr would. And as I mentioned that, by the way, who did the homework last week? Show your hands. Who did the homework? You see, they're looking like, what homework? I did not know we had homework. Yes, there was homework. You see, they're like students in a class. What homework, miss? Yes, we had homework. You know what the homework was? You see? And the same person who
promote the
gave us
show.
homework, the same
Promote
person
the
who gave
show.
us homework is doing this. She don't know. Queen of Fiverr, Queen of Fiverr encouraged us to go and set up a Fiverr gig.
Yep.
You, Leah, isn't that so? She
Yep.
challenged her. She said, "Come in, come, join me, set up a Fiverr gig," like I did, because I could have gone to Greece jail because I am not allowed to do certain things in Greece. So I had to. So she was challenging us to set up our own. Who did that? Leah?
No, but I wrote it down. Like I wrote it down when you were talking about it. I was like, Karina is brilliant. I was like, Fiverr, of course. Like,
Writing it down. No, X for you. X for you. Writing it down and not taking action is not Karina, right? Writing it down. Lesson number one,
listen,
right, Karina? Writing it
implementation
down.
is key. No, but you know what? Honestly,
Mhm.
Karina, what you did last week for me was you sparked the need to go back to traditional ways of doing things, right? Like, I think that digital is great, online is great, but I think that for me, it was like, oh my goodness, I can go back to the days of like the Yelp pages and the Craigslist and all, like there's people are still using it, right? And so we just got to get back to like being able to
Basics.
do things differently on top of what we know we need to do now to stay current and to stay relevant. So I was like, oh yeah, I got some
I
things I
did
need
my
to add.
homework. I did my homework.
Are you back on?
I did my homework. You
You
should
back
see
on?
my page because remember, and before we go into the monetization talk, remember I had said that I had set up one a long time ago. I am sure
Yeah.
I was the first to probably do it, probably because nobody was doing it on Fiverr. It wasn't around, I checked. So I set up one, but it wasn't taken. But clearly it's taken for Miss Grease here. So I said, oh, hell no. Now that she has put her foot in the water and set up shop, other people, I'm going to
Yeah.
try it again. So I, of course, and she shared her profile so that we could have a look. So I set up one, of course, using my materials and putting things in place. I'm not going to share it with you, so look out for me. And you could give me feedback. You could give me feedback. Yeah. But I did my homework. You see, that's the
Excellent.
thing about the mastermind people. Just to give you a little hint, when you come into the mastermind, don't do like Leah and write it down. Take action.
Action. Action
It's,
speaks louder than words.
it's action that's going to really give you results. And I haven't received results yet, but I have already taken action, so something could take place. Because if you don't take any action, nothing could take place. You're in the same
Yeah.
spot. Now, coming back to what Leah just said about as we sum it up, going back to basics, it's important. And you know what moved us away from the basics? When we see other people doing stuff and we feel we need to follow them.
Follow.
Oh, they're doing that.
Yeah.
We need to
Yeah.
remember the common thread in this summit so far. Do you.
Mm-hmm.
Don't compare yourself to Karina. Don't compare yourself to Corrine. Do you. So
Yeah.
not because, Karina is doing great on Fiverr. For whatever reason it's working for. Probably because of the resistance that she's getting coming from Greece. It's going to probably show up more for her than for me. You understand what I'm saying? We just don't know the algorithms. I don't know. I don't know. But I don't know. I'm just saying. It could be.
If I went to Fiverr and typed in podcasts,
Uh-huh.
then all the services that do podcasts, whether they're advertising or they
Mhm.
want you as a guest, will
Mhm.
come up. And so you should come up, Corinne, if you're open again.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, I don't know. I'm just looking for a reason why it may be working better for you than for me.
Maybe yours wasn't the right time. Maybe now is the right time.
Maybe. And you see, that's the thing. Even with monetization, people, timing, timing. I remember
Everything.
when I was living in Jamaica, I lived in Jamaica for 21 years. I was trained in virtual events from 2010. And when I mean, this was long before anybody knew about virtual events. I was trained, podcast, all sorts of things. And I was trying to get people to see 20 years ahead, They just, oh my God, they resisted. They resisted no matter what I did. They just, pandemic hit, boom, shakalak, online.
Yeah.
Digital marketing.
And they were caught with their pants down.
What is this? What is this? How do I do it? How does it work?
Crazy chicken without head approach, right?
Yeah.
And
but I feel like that's
forced.
all. I feel like that's been us, even like when we think about internet age, right? Before the internet, right? Like there was somebody sitting there like, we need a faster way to connect with people, right? Here's the internet, and people were not catching on. I feel like that's always the trend. It's like people are catching on to podcasting now, but podcasting is not new.
It's not new.
It's been a while. For a while.
Zoom is not new. Do you remember GoToWebinar? I think GoToWebinar was one of the first streaming online platforms.
Yep.
Some people forget the name GoToWebinar. That was one of the first.
Very first.
I'm like, so why does it have to take something cataclysmic for us to move? Why? Why can't we be, and that we have discussions, and I don't mean we meaning we, but I mean the leaders or the people, the influencers that would be talking about moving ahead, but they're still in the same place.
I think we can be the train setters if we want to. If we come up with a unique idea and it works, then we are the train setters. Doesn't mean everyone's going to follow the train, but it's something new. It's starting something new.
But when we do it, Karina, my darling, nobody remembers we said it back in 2003, 2010. They only hear when Leah said it today on August 24th.
Yeah.
Right? When we have been pounding, beating back in 2003. They're not going to remember that. We would say, but we have been saying this all along. They just were not ready, prepared. When they say, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. The students just were not ready.
Yeah.
So it don't matter if Corinne and Karina have been pounding it back then. They were ready on August 24th. And as Leah said it seems fresh. Woo, that's wonderful. Yeah. And so they're ready now, today.
Yeah.
But that's okay. The main thing is that you get it. So podcast monetization, people. How can we monetize our podcasts? So let's put a scenario. I mean, well, most of us, I think, we are mainly podcasters. This is our main, let's say, income earner or potential income earner or business. Yeah. You see the same thing now? Here we go again with Karina. You see the same thing? I'm going to
always count on Karina.
Behind the pen is just part of Author Assist, and Author Assist is a big it's not a big business. Basically, it's like going into a candy shop and you've got to pick a mix. I'll have one of those, I'll have one of those, and I'll have one of those. And it's
multiple
all to help.
Streams.
It's all to help the authors. So there's book trailers, there's narrations, there's VA, there's podcasts, there's my radio show, and it's all part of the big picture Author Assist. If I can make some income from this, then brilliant. That is adding on to Author Assist. But for those that have the podcast just as their main business, you really need to monetize and soon as you can. You've got to start making money from this. It's taking your time, all your effort.
Of course.
And it's not difficult.
And there's nothing wrong with having multiple streams. It's encouraged. Yeah. But I am thinking you start with one. So if you start off with just a podcast, great for you. And you know why I'm saying that? And welcome, Katira. You know why I'm saying that? Because you have so much potential just from a podcast. It's video. If you're doing a video, it's video
Mm-hmm.
and audio, which are two formats right there. You could do so much just from the video, so much just from the audio. You can transcribe the audio, yeah, and
Yep.
turn it into so many different things. Now, not
Mm-hmm.
all of them you may monetize, and we will go more into it and discuss it. Not all of them, right? Some of them you may say, okay, I want to do a cheat sheet or a giveaway something in order to build a list. And like as I mentioned earlier, you don't monetize in the short term. It might be build a list, and over time, you can say to your list, people on your list, your subscribers, would you like to pay for this? Or I have this, and a program, an online course, whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
So you may also, just to throw it out there, just like how when we spoke about free versus paid podcasts, you may not charge somebody upfront for something. You may get them in as a guest. And as a result of having them in, there is money to be earned as a result of having them in. So they come in free as a guest. And I've seen persons, like I think on Karina, if I can use her example with Fiverr, if you want a copy of the recording, which is what is done in traditional media. Traditional media houses, TV and radio, they charge you for a copy of the recording. So she takes it on the back end as well. She might not charge you on the front end and say, to be a guest, I'm going to charge you. She takes it on the back end. So if you want a copy of the recording, which most people may want, she charges. She may build that list of persons that say, okay, and after a while, she may say, okay, I have a book, I have I've compiled so many recordings, video, audio, transcription, whatever it may be, and I can monetize that. So now that I've thrown that into the pot here now, let's hear what you guys think about podcast monetization and what other ways. And let me just throw in another spanner. We touched early on, I think in the first session when Delano came on, when we were interacting with Delano, we talked about sponsorship. So
Mm-hmm.
sponsorship is also a major one. And what do you need to have in place to get sponsorship, as well as even having ads? So for example, if Kathyra like my show,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So let's use Karina. Kathyra is dealing with persons who are authors and whatever. She likes Karina's show, Behind the Pen. She wants to plug in her publishing company or her editing or whatever in there. She want to do an ad in between. She can say, they can have a discussion and say,
Mm-hmm.
okay, for a 30-second jingle or ad, this is it. It's running at how many episodes for the week, this particular period. And you see what the analytics could come
Mm-hmm.
for Katira. So I've thrown a lot of things in the pot. Let's get the discussion going. Who wants to go first? Yes, Karina, as usual.
I was going I was going to say, when it comes to, I was signed up with Aubrey, in case you've never heard of it, and what they do
Aubrey. I
there,
think I've
yeah,
heard of Aubrey
they
or
match
Audrey.
you, Audrey.
Audrey or
They,
Aubrey? Audry?
yeah, one of those. So try them both. One of them will work.
So try them both. I know
So,
Audrey.
okay, so Audrey matches you up with the
Mm-hmm.
type of podcast you are with another podcast that deals with the same subject. And you can either be a guest on their show each, or you can have a trailer played on your show. They'll play your trailer. Or you can have what's the other one? I think it's just a shout out on the show. So you have those three to choose from, and you agree, you talk about it, and you agree, and you swap trailers, or you make a date for when you're going to be a guest. Now, this Aubrey is so well run that when you've done that trailer and your program has gone out, you put a link, and you have to give that link to get that like I think they give you a token to say that you've done that, and you get these achievement badges, you know, when you've done so many trailers or you've done so many guest spots. That's not what's important. What's important is that every time someone hears your trailer and has never heard of your podcast before, you've got a chance of getting new readers. And you playing another podcast trailer, you're not going to lose your listeners, but you're going to help that other podcaster. So I think that swapping trailers, doing shout outs for each other, going on as a guest for each other without money changing works just as well in the long run as monetization.
I like how you said that without money changing. It's worth a money value. It's worth a money value. So everything doesn't necessarily have to be the dollars and cents, but the value is worth the money.
Yeah.
And it converts into money for you over time. Now, the thing with marketing, because I mean, this is all part of a marketing approach, is that you have to understand these things take time. It takes time. And if you are looking for a quick buck, overnight success, this is not for you. I don't know where you would get that, or else everybody would be doing it. Right? Everybody would
I mean, it would be illegal where you can get that. Correct?
I don't know. We need to go to Greece. I don't know. Maybe it's over there. I don't know. I don't know. But what are your thoughts, Leah? What you want to add to what Karina is saying?
So for me, I monetize on the back end as well. So my guests, I don't charge to come on the show. But what I do know is that people like to pay for access, right? They like to pay for what you do know. And so the way that I monetize my podcast is that I host a quarterly workshop around podcasting, and I lead them into a 4-week intensive. It's a great way.
I saw that advertised. That is amazing.
Thank you. So it's a great way to get people, because people want to know how to podcast, right? So why not learn it from the person that does it? And so I do a 3-day workshop, and then I lead them into my 4-week intensive where they actually implement. The goal is to get them to launch. And so that's the way I make my money. So people can come and be on my show for free. But another thing that I see a lot of podcasters doing, instead of the ads and the sponsorship, they're positioning themselves as the experts. So they use their podcast as an opportunity to talk about what they do. And they do that more often versus having guests, right? Or they find a nice balance between having guests and talking about what they do, so that people hear directly from the host, like what services and products they offer. So that's the way I monetize my podcast. I don't do ads and sponsorship yet. I do plan on doing that in the new season, but I offer opportunities for people to learn the ins and outs of podcasting through various workshops.
Love it.
Awesome. Kathyra, you're nodding.
Yes. All this sounds very familiar. So I actually charge up front. So the guests, pay a fee. They get their digital ad that they can use to promote. I promote on my channels, and then they receive the recording as well. So really, essentially, they're paying for my time and the value and the products that they're receiving once we're done. I have done ads in the past. I don't do them on a regular basis, but I did it in the past, open to doing it. But like we said in the last session, I mean, there's exceptions to every rule. So some of the guests are free. There are some people I make exceptions for,
Right.
And it's really an opportunity for them to, promote their services, talk about
Get known.
their experience, their knowledge. And for me, the more important part is that they're sharing knowledge with the audience. So some podcasters really become self-centered, and a lack of way to say it. So they only talk about what they do, their business. They're using it as to sell themselves and their products. But for me, it's more so about sharing knowledge and helping the listeners. Like I always refer to the audience during the interviews. I always acknowledge the audience and the listeners.
Yes.
So that's an overview of how I do my podcast.
And it comes back to what we were saying. You do your podcast your way. Do what works for you.
For sure.
Right? Yeah, Karina.
I I've had so many people say that you don't advertise your services, you don't talk about your books, but it's not about me. It's about my guests and their talents and getting using my platform to get their word out about their work.
For sure.
At the beginning of the show, I say, I'm an award-winning author, award-winning filmmaker, podcaster, booktuber. I run Author Assist that helps authors with their marketing and promotion. And I have Behind the Pen, the podcast and YouTube show.
Yep.
And that's it. And then while we talk, if we clash again, well, not clash, if we both agree about something and I'm very passionate about when it comes to my writing, then I will talk about that the same as and we'll have a discussion about that. But to promote myself, that's not what this show is about. And I have so people, why are you wasting that time when you should be promoting yourself?
You know, if people watch my show, all of you, I think, except as I say, Karina has been on my show. So we need to rectify that, Karina.
I've been on your show.
I am so sorry. My deepest apologies.
That's okay. That's how I met you, darling.
This is a moment of shame.
And you have been on mine, by the way. I'll send you the link.
This is being broadcast live, isn't it?
Yeah.
I said it. Never a dull moment when we get together.
This is being broadcast live, just to remind myself of that. And I am the host of the show. Just to let you guys know who are watching and listening, this is going out live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. So this is a moment of shame. I totally accept it. I love you, Karina. I love
you too, Corinne.
That's right. You see how we do it here in podcast world? This is how we do it in the podcast.
Exactly.
But listen, people, when I do my show, I don't talk about myself at all. It is not a me thing. It is not a Korean thing. I don't talk about myself. In the discussion, in the interaction, a bit about myself is going to come out because you will get to know about how I think, what I think about something, my perspective. And that's where the intellectual stimulation comes about in order to add value to the audience so that they get multiple perspectives. They must leave thinking, I didn't think about it that way. Wow, that was or I may leave that way. You understand what I'm saying? I may leave that way. I came in with a certain thought and then my guests make me start to think differently. You understand what I'm saying? So when I do my show, just like how I started this podcast summit, you see an intro video. I'm really just promoting the podcast summit. It's just an intro video. And it gives us a little time to kind of get our energies in, settle down, take a sip of water, and then we start the discussion. And I introduce my guest. So that's what I do. And I don't even promote my products or services. It's really about the guest. I showcase their website. What are their giveaways? What are they doing? So maybe I'm doing something wrong. I don't know, but this is just me.
That's the correct way. That is the correct way.
If you have a guest on and it's about you, well, I don't know. Something that seems unbalanced there.
I think it just depends on the format of your show, right? Like if you are doing interview style, then it would make sense to talk about, highlight the guests more than yourself. But if you're doing the type of show format where it is a like solo monologue style, then you got to talk about something, right? So it makes sense.
But it doesn't have to be about you. It doesn't have to be you. Even if I was doing myself, talking to myself, right? I am there sharing something for the audience. It doesn't have to be about me.
Yeah.
I am here to give value, not to talk about me. I find that seems, I don't know, to each his own, but to me, it seems very egotistic, self-serving, just like, I don't know. It just doesn't feel right for me. It don't feel right for me. And so go ahead, Karina.
I've heard podcasts from authors that every 5 minutes a promotion comes out about their
Oh,
work, about
gosh.
their book. You know, and I understand at the end you can talk about if you want to go to Patreon and help them, but not halfway through the interview. You know,
But can I tell you, Karina, what is disgusting me? Right now, I am actually getting sick of social media, literally. I don't know if I'm just going through a kind of phase, but I am feeling sick of social media. When I watch, like on LinkedIn, which I spend most of my time, I am seeing people talking so much about themselves. I am like, really? Oh, I am all of this, and I've gotten so many clients, and I have, and me, oh my word. And through that, they think, well, unless, no, unless the audience loves that, because it seems that that is what people are moving towards. Because I'm saying to myself, I'm not talking about myself, I'm offering value. But I see more people are gravitating towards the people who are talking about themselves. You know, I don't know. Is it a twisted world? Is it, or am I twisted? Who is twisted? Or is there no twist at all? Katira, tell me something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think LinkedIn has become a space for people to, talk about themselves, to share their experiences. That I have seen an increase in, and that I'm on board with. Um, People being more authentic on LinkedIn. People talking
I could
about,
say to that,
yes.
but in between all of that,
Mm-hmm.
they still talk. It comes across. They couch it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's like a sandwich. They couch it, but it's really about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, we're kind of veering off in terms of the monetization, but the monetization really coming back to that topic. I mean, you see how we move away from the whole thing, but it adds to it, because if you're monetizing really, and I mean, this is a good point, if you're monetizing, which space should you be coming from? So is it a space of it's all about me, because
Mm-hmm.
it's all linked, it's all about me, or is it about adding value to the other persons, your target audience, your guest, who you're serving, or what is the bigger goal towards having your podcast? where
Yeah.
where really is it supposed to come from? Where?
Mm-hmm.
I think you made a good point about the goal, because I think that's one
Yeah.
thing that new podcasters don't think about. And
Mm.
that's something that I teach in my workshops and in my intensive is, what is your podcast goal? What is the purpose of the podcast? Like, some people, it's just like with writing books, right? Some people just want to write a book because it's a bucket list thing. It's like, I just want to call myself an
Mm-hmm.
author before I
Mm-hmm.
die, right? Check.
Right.
That also. Same
and they
with
can't
podcasts.
write.
Right. Same with podcasting. Like, some people might just want to start the show just to say they started the show. But if the goal is true brand awareness, if the goal is true lead generation, if the goal is to build the community, right? Like, you got to have that in your mind before you can even think about monetizing, because that is going to help you on that path to getting to the point where you can now charge for your services.
Yeah, Karina.
You know, you can tell a new podcaster by how
I would
many
love to hear it.
adverts are in their episode, because that's all they're thinking about is the monetization and the money they can make from having a podcast. Some podcasts
You think
are
that's for
ridiculous
new
with the
podcasters?
adverts.
You think the newer ones are like that, or the older ones are like that? The ones
No,
that have
I
been.
think the new
I
ones
agree.
are doing it just for thinking they can make money from it by making up a podcast, no matter what the topic is, getting those ads. You listen to one of their episodes, it's every 5 minutes an ad break.
Wow.
Yeah, I agree.
Katira. Yeah. Hold on a
It's like
second. There.
what, TV,
Yeah.
American TV is like, apparently.
It
You watch
is.
a
It
film and it's
is.
like, cut,
It's
cut, cut,
constant.
advert, advert.
Just
Yeah.
when it's getting juicy, you're like, damn.
That's what
Another
podcasting
commercial.
is turning out like, though, which is
Wow.
totally wrong. But that's what's going on at the moment,
Yeah.
Corinne.
Yeah. Katira.
Yeah, I think that sometimes the monetization can be pretty obvious that that's their main goal. because
He's
like,
trying
all
to
they
be diplomatic.
yeah, that's all they talk about in regards to the podcast. They're not necessarily promoting the guests, they're promoting that they have ads or they don't have ads at all. And it's like you said, Karina, they talk for 5 minutes and then there's 10 ads and then they talk for another 5 minutes. So, I mean, if that's your end goal, then so be it. But
Yeah.
for those of you who have a more who are looking for a more impactful podcast, that wouldn't be the proper way to get
go. No, definitely not.
Yeah.
No.
So, and especially the persons who we are targeting persons who are starting off. We don't want to produce prodigies of podcasts with that sort of mindset. We
No.
would like to have persons who think beyond and outside themselves. It's not about me,
Not about
right?
me.
Yeah.
I am an instrument to serve. I'm
a
instrument,
platform.
right, to serve. Okay, I'm coming from a place of giving back. And yes, if I make money, great, or I could make money, and I can do so over time. But I want people, just like how all of us, I think, started doing it for free. Some of us are still doing it for free, and probably catching on to the monetization on the back end, or a little later down, or probably never. If that's your goal. But it must be about, to me, and I think the general consensus here is about the bigger picture. Why do you really have your podcast? And remember, that was how we started it. Why a podcast? Why? Because you don't just decide one night, oh, I want to have a podcast. Although some people might do that. I just want to have a podcast. And they just do it without really thinking it through. Who do I want to serve? Why am I really doing this? This is going to take up my time, that type of thing. So the monetization is good. You can make money, front end, middle, back end, continuous, sustaining. But you have to think it through. And like I said, which angle are we coming from? And how does it impact? Sometimes from the time you start charging or trying to make money from something, people suddenly start to move away from you as opposed to come towards you. So we're looking at the other side of the monetization now. You were doing it free, everybody's loving you. All of a sudden, as soon as you start to charge, they're like, she or he is starting to charge now. Yeah. Karina.
However, if you are lucky enough to get a big name sponsor,
Right.
you are going to find a lot more listeners and your numbers going up.
Excuse you, that's a big influence there.
Or if you
it can happen. We can dream. It can happen. It happens. It happens for other podcasters. It happens for other podcasters. That's how they start, by getting this sponsor, and their numbers go up, and they're away, and they can go and fly and go off and do multimedia stuff with their podcast.
It's the association, and next week that's what we're going to be talking about more: podcast collaboration. So if you collaborate with somebody, you just need one heavy lifter. Just
one heavy lifter, exactly.
Yeah, or if you already have a name and you start a podcast, those fans will follow you. Oh, Oprah's got a podcast, I'm gonna subscribe.
Oh, well, that's it. Yeah, done. It's the name, isn't it?
It's
Oprah started a book club, and that was it. Everybody wants to be on the Oprah book club,
right?
As if there wasn't book clubs before.
Yeah, same thing with authors too. Like when the celebrities write books, they sell X number of copies because they already have that influence. People know the name, they're going to go out and buy it. And sometimes in the self-publishing world, authors compare themselves to people who already have that following. And they're like, well, why didn't I get X downloads or X sales? Well, you're not the celebrity, so
we've got to keep our new podcasters on the right lane, in the right mindset. Maybe it will happen for you, but be serious. This is how it works.
And I think it's about producing good content.
Somebody's
going to listen and find you at some point. Somebody, it may not be today, tomorrow, They'll be like, I've been listening to you, I've been watching you, I have been,
Absolutely.
so you don't even have to push. Somebody is going to find you. And coming back to that point, Kathyra, I see you, Leah. Coming back to that point, Kathyra, about the authors. So you see, like, Chicken Soup for the Soul. What's his name again?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. Jack Canfield, I think.
Listen to me. Jack don't have to write a book anymore.
Right.
You know what Jack and they are doing? You know what Jack and they are doing? They
Vacation.
have programs
Living his
where
best
they charge. Listen, where they charge $10,000 at least if you want to co-author a book.
Right.
And to have your name associated. And you know, there are people who do it just to get a
Absolutely.
chapter in that book.
Mhm.
To say Jack, they co-authored with Jack.
I don't care how big I get. I would never charge ridiculous money like that to either shout out somebody or to have somebody as a guest. It's no. It's morals, Remember your morals.
Yeah.
Well, honey, that's their morals.
Yeah.
That's their morals. And it works because there are people. I have been on
will pay
webinars,
that,
and I am saying to myself, I have been on webinars 3 hours. I mean, I would just sit down and listen. I'm like, why am I still here? But they are like cha-ching, 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 and you would see how many people signed up. I'm like, aren't you the same one who probably was complaining you didn't have money before? Where the $10,000 came from?
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
The people that will pay
Crazy.
it.
And if you ask them, I know somebody who came to me after spending over $10,000 with a coach, and she wants me to work miracles that the 10,000 didn't work.
Yeah.
And I'm not charging 10,000. Nothing happened with the 10,000.
Yeah.
Karma.
Yeah. I mean, that goes so as y'all were sitting here talking, 2 things came to me. One, when it comes to money, right, and monetization, people pay for what they want and beg for what they need, right? So $10,000 to somebody is like, I want it. I want to be able to say I'm a part of Chicken for the Soul, right?
For the soul.
But the other piece of going to what Kathyra was saying about following, I think the biggest misconception, I posted it on my social media today as one of the top 5, is that you need this large following.
Yeah.
As an author, someone who started out as an author, right? It was just about, it made sense to become a podcaster because I had already had support. I had already had readers. I had already had people that were buying my books. So to me, that was like the next thing to do. But I think that social media kind of dilutes this whole idea of having all these followers, right? Like I tell people, I just hit 1,000 followers on social media this year, and I've been publishing books for 5 years, and a podcaster going on 2. Like it's about the content. It's about making sure that you are giving your audience what they want. Keyword, they want, not what you think they want, but really, and this is what I teach in my intensives and my workshops, is tapping in with your audience. What is it that they are interested in? And then who do you know that can help you either as an interview expert or somebody that you can shine the light? But giving people what they want. Podcasting is a great way to educate. And that's going to what you guys have been saying about that value. That's what we're doing when we do a podcast. We're educating you on something. We're giving you feedback. We're providing, shining a light, giving you a different outlook at something. And so I think we got to stop making people believe that if you have thousands and thousands of followers that you can have a level of success. And the other thing I'll say is success is relative to the person. Like Oprah starting a book club was her level of success. Maybe her having her TV show was her level of success. So you have to define what success looks like for you.
What success means to you. Exactly.
And it doesn't even have to be monetarily. Sorry for cutting you, Karina. It doesn't have to be about money. It can just be, just like how I think Leah mentioned before. I just want to write a book before I die.
Right.
That's success. Who says that your success has to do with money or what Kathyra thinks or what the world wants or what your mother wants? Or it's what you want to do.
Yeah.
Okay. I interviewed somebody yesterday on my podcast Between the Lines, and I said, I want one of my dreams is to wear a coconut bra and a grass skirt in Hawaii. No, that might seem like something funny to somebody else, but hey, I want to do that. That's a tip off my bucket list. I want to wear my coconut bra and grass skirt in Hawaii, luau and dance and do all the different things. That's a big thing for me. That's success for me. It may not be success for somebody else, but I could say, hey, I could tick that off. Hey, I did that.
Yep.
You know, it's not money, but it makes me feel good.
Yep.
It's a feel good factor. And a lot of people define success by the amount of cars, houses, money.
Value.
Yeah. You have to determine what success, as Leon is saying, what it means to you. Karina.
I have been an author for 27 years. I have 14 books out. And someone asked me, what do you think is success? Is it about being a New York Times bestselling author? Is it about selling thousands of copies of books? I said, no. It's about going on Amazon and seeing a review I'd never seen before. It's about someone emailing me and telling me how much they love my book. It's about going around a swimming pool and seeing someone hold my book in their hands. To me, that is success. Yeah. So there are so many different ways of measuring success. And when it comes to a podcast, I don't look at numbers. For me, it's content. I want to provide, as you say, we are experts in what we talk about and what we do. And our podcasts, we have the right to do that podcast because we know that what we're talking about, and we're giving real content out to people who want to know about it, who need to know about it. Doing that and making sure that people know what the podcast is about, how many platforms it covers, how many multimedia, YouTube and audio podcasts and everything, and telling them, I'm going to get your story out to as many people as I can. Okay, I will do my hardest to get out there to the world. But I'm not looking at numbers because it's the content, like I said, it's the content I provide, and it's knowing that I've done my best for that guest, that I've tried my hardest to make sure that people have heard now of their name, that people know, seen the cover of their book or the cover of their album, and they're going to recognize it now, you know?
Yeah. The thing about it, as I think was Leah was mentioned about following, you know, some people, and we touched on this in earlier summits in the past weeks. People have like 10,000, 17,000 followers. Who really do you know in your followers?
Right.
Who
It doesn't
really?
make sense.
So you're boasting about some big numbers as if. I'm like, really? Who you know? Who do you connect with on a daily basis? Say, hey girl, what's going on? I saw so and so. Congrats to that. Yay. What? Who?
Right. And I think people think followers equals monetization or conversion, right? Like, I got 10,000 followers, and you're not making $10,000 off them followers, right? Like,
Leah, I'm going to put you.
Right? So I think that's one of the reasons why I try to stress to new podcasters, don't get caught up in numbers, don't get caught up. Like, for me as a podcaster, I focused on growing my listenership, growing my audience, getting more people listening in, tuning in every week. That was my focus the very first year of podcasting. And so that's what I teach my students, is focus on getting more people tuning in every year, because the money part can come. Yeah. But if you don't have, even if you wanted to offer sponsorship ads, for example, right? There are people that are going to ask you, what are your analytics? How many people are tuning in? Where are they turning them in? Like, so if you don't have those numbers, why would I then want to connect my brand and my business to what you're doing? Yeah. So that's one of the things I stress. Like, money will come, but your focus that first year to 2 years should be, let me grow my audience. Let me grow this community.
And let me touch on that earlier. Even if you don't have those sort of depth of analytics, but you have content, it comes back to the content. If somebody listens and they feel that energy and they could hear that, so, and they pick up, you know, when I look at different podcasts, and as I said, I come back again to my interview yesterday. The guy interviewed, he was so impressed. And this is not to talk about myself. This is just to compare and to talk about how people do podcasting in different ways and the energy and the way they feel, the experience that they have. Persons listening and watching would be like, wow, I really like the format of that. Now, somebody might be listening and watching and don't like it. They don't like the interview flowing, casual style. They want the robotic, straight. But that's not me. So I have a very casual, very, just like what we're talking here, that type of style. Nothing robotic. It flows easily. We talk, we're having a discussion. Somebody may be listening. When you think people are not watching and listening, we're in the social media space, digital space, World Wide Web, whatever they call it. People are watching and listening. And there will come a day when somebody will reach out to you and say, hey, can we have a discussion? You'll be like, what? Where you come from? I don't know you. And they may make you an offer. They may make you an offer. Just like that. Just like that.
Yeah.
People are watching and they're not asking you about analytics. What they love is the way how you interview a particular guest. They want that sort of personality in their culture, or they may have that culture and they want more of that kind of personality. They may add you to a team. They may say, hey, we want you to, let's go big here. We want you to host a show or facilitate something, and we love your energy. We love your personality. We see you could engage with an audience. This is going beyond podcasting now. You just never know.
Yeah.
Okay? What speaking opportunities may come as a result of that. So from virtual to face on a big stage, you just never know.
For sure.
So it's about how you engage with the audience, who you may not be seeing, how you engage with the guest, or even the panelists, like how we are doing here. Yeah. Somebody's listening and watching and may say, yes, I want that. So you are setting yourself up for something that you don't even know may be coming to you. That's in your dreams, like my coconut brand grass skirt, in your dreams. And when it happens, you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Sometimes you even forget you had it here in your mind, in your thoughts, just a fleeting thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Kathyra.
Oh, I wanted to piggyback on that and just say that's absolutely true. So I actually onboarded my first intern about a month ago, and she reached out to me. She emailed me and she said, I've been following you. We graduated from the same school, University of Albany. This is, I've seen your journey. I'm inspired to see, another Black woman doing this in the editing space. Can I be your intern?
Whoa.
I never imagined that. I've thought about having an intern, but
the fleeting thought.
I didn't realize it. But then, like you're saying, people are watching. You never know who's going to approach you. And I was very honored. I was honored that somebody would draw that type of inspiration from me.
See?
So it's absolutely true.
Be careful what you wish for. Those are the most powerful, I'm telling you, powerful thoughts. Yeah. You see the ones that just, you feel it within your soul. You're like, oh, I would love that. And you just forget about it. And when it does happen, you're like, wait a minute. When it comes back to you, because I'm a believer in God, he would remind you, you had that thought, Right? Remember when you said you wanted an intern and you'd be like, damn. Those are the most powerful. In the quiet moments when you think of something and it just comes across, you feel good, really good in that few seconds, and it just goes. And you're like, all right. And it shows up. It just shows up. So content. I am not saying to people don't focus on the following and the analytics. I'm not saying to people don't consider monetizing, because that is what the topic and theme is about today. Don't look for sponsorship. Sponsors can also come to you the same way, just like how the intern came to Kathyra. They hear you, they want to be a part of that. Right. Whatever you're doing, they want to be a part of that. Same thing for the ads and jingles. Same kind of concept. You can do all of that, but if you don't have something solid, Nobody's taking you on. And I just want to put this in here as we're coming down to the end. Don't look at anybody else.
Yeah.
Don't look at what anybody else is doing. Like I tell you, I started to feel sick over social media. Seriously, yesterday I was so sick. I mean, stomach sick. Because I am like, God, I just wanted to fling the phone, fling everything. I was like, I need to detox from this thing. Seriously, this is just too much, man.
Yeah.
People talking about themselves, yada, yada, yada. God, it's nauseating. It's nauseating. And I'm like, Corinne, zoning on you. Ignore the noise because it's noise. It's noise. Ignore the noise. And don't think you need to do like what other people are doing. Keep doing what you're doing. There is a space for Corinne.
Yes.
There's a space for Leah. There's a space for Karina. There's a space for Kasaira.
Yeah.
And that space is forming. And the timing is going to be perfect for each one of us. Karina, you're edging to say something.
I am. I've been edging to say something since the start. I started a new show today.
Come on, Karina.
It's called Behind the Pen Bite Sized. And what it is, what it is, it's a very small video, 2 minutes, 3 minutes of me talking. Either, I'm sorry about this, but either about myself, about a topic I'm passionate about.
We're booting her now. We're booting her.
About a topic I'm passionate about, maybe a shout out for a book or a film that I love, letting them know a bit more about me. And that will go in between until I have my next big guest.
Awesome. So it's
and
like
I started that. It's a filler, exactly. And I started it today. And my intro says, it will be just you and me. And I'll be talking about the latest trends, topics I'm passionate about, giving marketing tips, giving a shout out to a few books, films, music I like. It'll be a small video. A podcast will be posted between the main guest episodes. It's a change for you. It's a chance for you to know me better. And if you have anything you want me to discuss, then contact me on Behind the Pen on Facebook.
Stop right there, Karina. Let me tell you what you have just done. So let's say you're shouting out a book I wrote. I hear it. You're giving me promo. Without even asking me to say, hey,
without charging.
Without charging. And I can easily reach out to you because there are people crawling, my team, crawling the web, and they're going to hear that. And they'll be like, oh. Because when I was writing for the Jamaica Gleaner in Jamaica, when I mentioned, just like how you did the shout out, I used to mention certain resources, people, whatever, and they will contact me. Thank you so much for the mention, Corinne, out of the blue. Thank you for the mention. If there's anything I can do for you, whatever. They're going to pick up that. You don't know what can come from that. So you're planting the seed by volunteering to help a potential sponsor. She's like, a potential sponsor. So I am not even asking you for any money or anything, but I'm mentioning you. And if you feel inclined, you can come over here and negotiate with me, and I could officially, work out some sort of business for you. Also,
and it also gives my listeners a chance to know me. I'm not promoting my services. I might not even mention the books I write. It'll be about me, who I am, and my passions and what I like and how I feel about certain topics. Religion and politics will never come into it because that's a red subject for many people, so I don't discuss that. But this bite-sized, I think, in between these, while they're waiting for another podcast, so I don't lose my listenership. There's something new out there for them to listen to.
Awesome. But there's a lot of potential from that film. There's a lot of potential. I tell you, I'm telling you, ideas come up as we're talking. Things are shared. Kasaira, what you think about that?
Yeah, I think it is important to insert pieces of yourself into your podcast So I'm not saying that you shouldn't talk about yourself at all, or your business or your
Mm,
projects, because your guests and your audience will want to know more about you. The
of
saying
course.
is, if they trust, know, and like you, like, know, and
Of
trust,
course.
you'll,
Mm-hmm.
you'll grow your following and build the people who want to be a part of what you're doing. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's something that I have to be more diligent about, because I usually just go right into the guest and focus on them.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
not just in podcasting world, but in general, I need to
Yeah.
get better at bringing in that human side of Katira, and not just Katira the businesswoman, because I default to business in all
Yeah.
conversations.
And that's okay. That's okay.
So I'm
And
working on.
don't feel that because that is being discussed now that you have to suddenly tomorrow morning implement that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You don't.
Mm-hmm.
You don't.
Yeah.
If it's not you and you think about it, you're like, that's just not me. I don't have to. You know? People, we are at the top of the hour. Any
Love it.
final thoughts before we go on monetization?
Yeah, I would just say, do you, right? Figure out what do you want to monetize, right? So one thing that I teach my students that we didn't talk about is merchandise, right? Like, is there a mug, a
Mhm.
t-shirt,
Yeah.
something that you can throw
Yes.
your
There is Karina. Look.
right?
Can you imagine
Right?
that on a t-shirt?
Yeah,
That's
because here's
right.
here's the thing. You should be a walking billboard for your brand, right? And
Yeah.
podcasting is a part of your brand. So it's just, when I think of monetization, and I think of, there's so many ways you can do that. If you got a car, do you have a car decal?
Right.
Do you, like, it's so many ways that you can do it to let the world know more
Merch.
about you.
Merch.
Yep.
Merch. That is a big thing. Merch.
Yeah.
And even like the quotes, like what I do in between summits, even the quotes that could be on a cup, on a this, on a pen, on
Hmm.
a whatever it is, on a
On
t-shirt,
a
all of these
cup.
things.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when I'm
I'll,
drinking my tea,
I'll
I
drink
feel
to
to
that.
drink whatever. Yeah.
Me too, Karina. Me
Right?
too.
I like to pick up a cup based on my mood. I'm like, yeah, I feel hot today. Yeah. And you know,
Hmm.
I feel beautiful today. Let me take up this cup. I'm just sipping, pouring more of the beauty into the into my body. So there are so many ways. There are so many ways,
Many.
people. Any final thoughts, Kathyra?
Just that there's nothing wrong with monetization.
Mhm.
If that's a goal of yours, you can pursue it. But I do think it's best to have a healthy balance. So
Mhm.
it shouldn't be the only reason you're doing it,
No.
because it doesn't come across as genuine. So
Yeah.
just make sure you have that balance, and that there's a more, I'm not really sure the word, but a goal that it has more of your guests in mind, or more of a humanitarian
Yeah.
end goal. That's what I would
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Leah?
Yeah, I
Any thoughts
agree with
before?
everything that
Mhm.
you guys have said. Just like I said, keep your podcast goal and your purpose in the forefront. Keep who you're doing this for in the
Yeah.
forefront, and you can't go wrong. Like, whether you choose to monetize on the podcast or in the back end, as long as you keep the goal and the purpose in mind, you can't go wrong.
Awesome. People, it's been a blast again. Oh my goodness. And we are closing off next week. Just to remind people, August 31st, 5 to 6 p.m. is going to be lit, like they say, lit. Because, because we're going to have some games. Yeah, we're going to mix things up a little bit, weave some
I wear
stuff. So
my
all,
glitter top, yeah. So I
anything you want to
shine.
wear, sweetie, anything you want to wear. I'm coming in my coconut bra and grass skirts. That's what I'm right? It's gonna be lit. So the final session, we're gonna have games, and we really want to interact with all our watchers and listeners. So don't hide like how you hide today, because we know you're watching and listening. We know this. I can see the numbers on the screen. So we know you're watching and listening, but come out from behind the screen and interact with us and engage. Yeah. So next week we're talking about podcast collaboration.
Mm.
That is, yeah, that's a powerful topic. We don't know what will come from it, just like how we don't know what will come from every summit that we have. When we come together, we just don't know. Yeah, but that's the beauty about collaborating, and that's the beauty about bringing great minds like these people here today. Thank you, Leah. Thank you, Karina, and thank you, Katira, for being here once again. See you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.